Back when keyboards were first invented, they were always just boring gray devices covered in scary, confusing buttons. But eventually in the 90s, they started making these insane novelty kid-friendly keyboards that I could only dream of having as a child, covered in brightly colored 3D details and themed after various brands you already know and love. These whimsical doodads came from the ever-present shift in marketing to convince kids that computers are cool. They exist to make learning how to use a computer as fun and exciting as possible, which is such a stark difference from the boring gray office devices they used to be known as. But this was also a very experimental era where keyboards came in completely random shapes and layouts, which results in some confusingly cursed gizmos. From keyboards that don't even have keys to horribly tacky designs, these are such unique doohickeys that I am absolutely obsessed with. But ever since then, keyboards have advanced so much. Nowadays we have gaming keyboards covered in RGB lights with customizable switches and more. But what if these tacky novelty keyboards from the 90s still hold up today? Like, how's the ergonomics? What do the switches feel like? Can I genuinely ditch my gaming RGB keyboard for one of these, or do they deserve to stay in the 90s and 2000s? So today I bought a bunch of these random silly keyboards and we'll be seriously reviewing them to see if they still hold up in the modern day. So let's dive into the world of wacky novelty keyboards, starting out with the Little Tikes Kidboard. Take a look at this absolute unit of pure peak performance. This doodad will have you rising to the top ranks in even the most competitive video games. Little Tikes is a brand that normally specializes in plastic baby toys, so it's utterly ridiculous to find out that they made a fully functional mechanical keyboard in the 90s called the Kidboard. This gaming device features a whimsical bright yellow and blue color scheme that instantly transports me back to my childhood. Although I have no idea what this wacky shape is supposed to be. Like, these things look like eyes, but what the frick are these? Dinosaur scales? Hair? And for some reason, there's these divots on the end that are clearly meant to be handles for some reason, which doesn't make any sense, because how often do you pick up a keyboard? The Kidboard is not just meant for kids, it's meant for actual babies. As you can see with how every letter key has a silly little icon of something that starts with that letter, which is actually really cute. WASD is now watermelon, apple, star, and dog, which is way easier to remember. This way, you'll never forget what buttons to push in the heat of the moment during competitive video games. Also, the escape key looks like a stop sign, which is pretty cool. But to truly put this keyboard to the test, let's do some gaming with it. Obviously, you also need a mouse to play games with, so good thing I still own the official Little Tikes Cozy Coupe mouse to go along with it. This is such an utterly ridiculous gizmo. It even has a freaking roof. What kind of mouse has a roof? The shape isn't really that comfortable to use, and there isn't even a scroll wheel, which kinda sucks. Also, it uses the ball mechanism instead of the modern laser, so it's very inaccurate. But just look at how funny they look next to each other. This is awesome. Since they're from the 90s, they actually use a PS2 cable instead of USB. So let's plug them into an adapter and now we're good to go. It barely even fits on my desk. Look how massive it is. And these look so funny next to each other. Oh my god. And now let's finally see how the switches sound like. Okay, that's definitely really loud and annoying. Let me press the house button, the bear button, and even the cat button. Alright, so I got this notepad to type on, but unfortunately, I must inform you that this thing doesn't even freaking work. Only like half the buttons even work, as you can see. Not even the spacebar works. I can't type anything with this. And I can't even do a gaming test with it either because, as you can see, WASD doesn't even fully work. I can't walk forward. I can only walk sideways and backwards. But even if it did work, I can tell this would not be that comfortable to use. It's pretty unfortunate that the keys don't work, so I couldn't really give it a good try. But after pretending to type on it for a while, I can still confidently say that this keyboard sucks. The keys need way too much force to actually push down, and they're annoyingly loud. Also, the wrist rest is the worst one I've ever seen in my life. It's just misshapen hard plastic that literally juts into your wrist. So the wrist rest being there is actively bad for my wrist. And as silly as it looks, all the extra details make it way too big to fit on your desk. It's hard to face the reality that the whimsical doodad actually sucks to use when you find out your goat is washed. So let's just forget about this and move on to the next keyboard, the Crayola Easy Type. Yes, the company that normally makes crayons and markers also made a fully functional keyboard. And it's freaking massive! I had no idea the keys would be this big when I bought it. Besides that glaring issue, it's such a silly doodad with the bubbly shape and rainbow color scheme. It even uses the freaking Comic Sans font. There's also little crayons on the arrow keys, which is pretty cute. Although the layout is a bit abnormal. Like how the escape key is just over there for some reason. Also, it's missing a bunch of random keys, and everything in this area is just kinda jumbled around. around. Thankfully, there's a very useful feature where the vowels are a different color for some reason, just in case you forget which ones are vowels while you're gaming. I can't wait to try this thing out, so good thing this gizmo released a lot more recently in 2013, so it's just a USB to plug in. Alright, let's test out these giant keys. Ugh, that doesn't feel good. What the frick? Ew. We also have a few bonus buttons up here, like the volume buttons. But then there's also just the calculator button, which actually does just open a bunch of calculators. Oh my gosh. No. How is that useful? And there's also the computer button. See what that does. And it just opens this. What the hell is the point of this button? Alright, so I did this typing test on my normal gaming keyboard and got about 100 words per minute. But now let's see what my score will be on this monstrosity. Okay, here we go. Oh my, where's the button? Where's the hyphen? Oh my god. E. Wait, it stopped working! It stopped working! Okay, it's back, it's back. It just stopped working randomly. What the hell? No. 36 words per minute? That was so awful. I hate this thing. My hands keep getting misaligned to where the letters are. It's just so much bigger. Thankfully, WASD works so I can play some Minecraft. Oh, this is so weird to play a video game with. I play Minecraft. It's still. The keys are so unsatisfying to press though, and you have to reach so much farther to hit the number keys. This thing sucks. Well, sadly, this is yet another horrific keyboard that should not be used by anyone. The massive keys make it literally impossible to type with. I never know what key I'm pressing because they're all so spread apart. Also, the membrane switches themselves are inconsistent and mushy, and I hate it. And sometimes the plastic part of the keycap slams onto the base, making this horrid sound while typing. I love the cheap Crayola Comic Sans aesthetic and the bubbly shape, but this gizmo is completely unusable. So let's move on to another 2000s keyboard, the SpongeBob keyboard. I present to you yet another device with a whimsical bubbly shape, although this time it actually is bubble themed. And it's also yet another keyboard covered in Comic Sans too. It's honestly a really aesthetic item though. I love SpongeBob merch. The pastel color scheme and rounded corners on the keys is very soothing to look at, although the SpongeBob theming in question is really just a bunch of random PNGs slapped around. And for some reason they put "I love bubbles" at the top, as if that's his catchphrase he says all the time. And finally, this device actually has good membranes. Every key press feels like squishing a bubble. It's so satisfying. Anyways, let's plug it in and try to use it. It is time for the SpongeBob typing test. Alright, let's see how good I can do on this. Here we go. Okay, I'm going way faster now. Look at me go! SpongeBob! Oh, 90 words per minute. That's so good. What the hell? That's literally so close to my gaming keyboard score. What the frick? That was really good. This thing's kind of cracked. What the hell? Obviously, we gotta do a gaming test, so we're back in Minecraft. But unfortunately, it doesn't work in video games. So as it turns out, this keyboard is specifically programmed to not hold down the keys when you press them. So you just can't move forward in a video game. And they did that on purpose. It's not even broken. Like, look, if I spam it, I kind of go forward every once in a while. God damn it, why did it have to fail me? No. Sadly, this keyboard has committed the horrific sin of hardware programming it so you can't hold down any of the keys, which makes it completely unusable for gaming. But besides that, it's genuinely a really solid compact membrane keyboard. If you want a game in style,